Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of my New Jersey Devils franchise mode series right here on NHL 19. And today we see just how good this Devils team can be. We left the last episode off the back of destroying the only good AI team I've ever seen built in the Kings. Sorry about that, but we did what we had to do, damn it. It's the Askarov era now. He's up to an 85, and I'm intrigued to see how good he can ultimately be. Of course, the goaltending is fairly well established. Defensively is where it gets interesting. But, you know, in terms of goaltending, actually, Bednar's younger. I almost wonder. The ages aren't that different. I was going to say, if Jones is 23, it might be worth giving him a shot. Defensively is where it was interesting. And ultimately saying, okay, who the hell are we going to go with? And ultimately, you guys voted against, or you guys voted for, getting rid of Schultz and Seider. So here's the deal. I'm not going to immediately get rid of them because it's not going to hurt their trade value by not having them on the team. But I think what we're going to do is if a move needs to be made, then yeah, we get rid of Schultz and Seider to pull off that move. I still have faith in Justin Schultz, but again, if it's ultimately like, okay, who's the odd man out, then yeah, it's going to be Schultz. If Schultz is struggling, then yeah, Martinic gets called up. But for now, there's no reason to not at least keep Moritz Seider as the healthy scratch, but he is going to be the odd man out for now. I'm cool with leaving Martinic down in the AHL, and ultimately giving him that little bit of extra development time. And we'll see what happens from there. But in terms of the two guys who are leaving, you guys made that choice. Those two guys will be the two that leave if we have to shake things up a little bit. And then obviously on the offensive side of things, we're still set up pretty well. So what we're going to do is go over to the defensive side of things. We are going to drop Moritz Seider. We're going to go with best lines, and then we're going to call Seider and company back up. So when it comes to the forward lines, again, the fourth line, pretty straightforward, right? Coleman, Gates, and Zetterlund. The third line is where it gets to be a little bit interesting. We also debated whether or not we break up Hughes and Hischier. Now, whether or not Hughes should be the second line center, I'm not entirely sure. That might be too much talent currently being suppressed, if you think about it. But odds are, regardless, one man has to be on the outs, right? That's just the way it works. And I don't have the tab open I was hoping for. Someone made a pretty interesting point as far as how the top six should be set up. Of course, Jesper Bratt is someone who is still very, very much on the chopping block. I think we just might leave it like this for now. See how things go. Take it from there, make adjustments as we need to. But as far as the team is concerned, you know what I want to do here? I think we do. I don't know if I want to split up Godfrey and Dumba or not, but I'm going to start. So it's going to be Butcher, Godfrey, Spurgeon, Dumba, Smith, and Schultz. I don't entirely hate that. Now, the big question is, how should the power play be set up? Because obviously Godfrey is going to be the one there, but arguably Dumba should be there as well. So in the prior year, we had the third line also included. I think we're just going to limit it to the top six this year and get the defensemen a bit more involved on the power play. So indeed, that would be the way to set it up. Dumba, Godfrey, Butcher with his 87 offensive awareness, 87 for Smith, and an 86 for Schultz. We're going to give it to Butcher and Smith, because you guys voted to, or not voted, but you guys voiced your opinion of, hey, Ty Smith. Some of you wanted to see Ty Smith go, but we're going to give him the opportunity to stay. So in terms of how the power play is going to be set up, do we have enough righties to make this work? I don't think we do. We're like one righty short, which is fine. We'll just have Hischier on that side, and that is going to be how the power play is set up for this year. So overall, still in a similar spot where we're waiting to see who is going to take the brass ring, essentially. Who's going to make the most of their opportunity. Blake Spears is going to be called up. And again, Moritz Seider will as well. We might as well hold on to him as a little bit of extra depth, because that's one hell of a depth defenseman to have. His trade value is already not exactly spectacular, so we're not really missing out on much by having him be a scratch. Now, Marshall Greer, I think, is going to have to be a scratch, though. Depending on who else we have forward-wise. Yes, he is. So Schmelzer we're not worried about, but Bjorkstrand, Robertson, and Sorokin's we are worried about. So let's get Sorokin's into the lineup. And then we have a bunch of medium nines. I think Hillis and Talviti are going to be the two that are on the way out, because we're going to prioritize still trying to develop these low sixes, even though it never goes well. But damn it, it's the last hurrah. It's the final series for 19. Maybe, somehow, some way, one of these guys will decide, oh, never mind, I actually want to be half decent. I'm not holding my breath. Melchiori, you need to sit for Jackson Lacombe. I think Edler is going to have to be the healthy scratch. Indeed, he is, and goaltending's pretty straightforward. So I really do like how we're set up for this year. Again, we'll have to experiment around with the lines a little bit, take it from there, and potentially make deals. Again, if Schultz isn't doing well, at least in terms of a defensive standpoint, I mean, granted, point total-wise, he should still be okay. I mean, again, too, you look at how well-rounded that team is, the goaltending leaves a bit to be desired. But you look at how well-rounded the team is, and how well Schultz had done before in terms of point production outside of the power play time. Even last year, he was an effective defenseman for us in terms of point production when he wasn't on the power play. I'm hoping he'll do well. If not, I mean, again, same thing. We're looking at potentially moving Bratt. There's a good chance that we could look for somebody else within the top six and somebody else within the current defense core. The issue, of course, when it comes to forwards is that, we already have those younger guys who are already looking to take the step up. Cutler's on the team now, and there's a lot of competition in general when it comes to these forwards. And the defense, I mean, we're lacking, I guess, an elite-level defensive prospect at this point because we went out and managed to, let's be honest, just steal away arguably the top defenseman that was available. But again, we did what we had to do. Zetterlund's going to miss just under a week, which is all right. We'll get Blake Spears back in because he is just kind of the perfect depth option to have. Again, it's all wait and see, figuring out, okay, what the best combinations are, working things around. But obviously, like I said, Bratt, Schultz, and obviously, as Schultz has been okay through 5 games, and obviously Moritz Seider, those are the guys who are definitely on the chopping block if we have to make changes. Now, we're not exactly killing it like we were last year at the start of the season, where we went, I think 8-0 before our first loss, and Justin Schultz is hurt. He's out for just about 2 weeks, a little bit under. So that will get Moritz Seider into this lineup. He'll have a chance to potentially save himself if worse comes to worse and we need to make a move, which we might have to, although we did beat Los Angeles by the score of 7-3. As Schultz is back, let's take a look here at how we've done through the opening month. Seider was okay. 2 assists in 3 games. Even rating. Shocking to see him do that well. How's Godfrey doing? Yikes. Okay, so Godfrey and Butcher don't work as a pairing at all. Dumba and Spurgeon are great. Ty Smith, congratulations. You get to play with Godfrey now. Will Butcher, you have power play time too, man. You just threw that away. That's great. Thanks a lot, Will, for just completely botching this. Is there... Schultz is going to get power play time now because it makes sense to bring in another righty. And that way, we'll essentially go with Godfrey. I think Godfrey is a forward because we technically have 3 defensemen. So let's go Godfrey there. Dumba to the top unit. And we'll have... I'm alright with Hischer being on the point. Again, he doesn't have the wicked one-timer. And he does have 88 shot power. But, having Hall for the potential 1-Ts closer to the net, I'm better with. So We're running Colton Godfrey as a forward on the power play already. The plus-minus for him has been a little bit rough. We're not going to look at making too many changes just yet. We're going to go through about the first 2 months here and then adjust from there. I do not want David Perron. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Up to 9-4-1, make that 10-4-1. So we're still doing all right. I didn't expect us to be undefeated up to this point in the season. So I'm not exactly upset with what I'm seeing here, with the exception of looking at Will Butcher, because how the hell were you that bad? You've been one of our more consistently solid defensemen. Oh, Hunter Jones, Jesus. You've been one of our more consistently solid defensemen over the past few seasons. You'd think he'd be just a little bit better than that, but hey, what do I know? Apparently not. As we lose to St. Louis, beat Boston, though. So yeah, we have, 5 games left now after that win against Washington until we take a look at how certain guys are doing. I would love to trade for Alex Ovechkin. I would. I honestly think if Brad's struggling, I will trade for Alex Ovechkin. I'll do it. I'll do it. You think Ovechkin couldn't perform in our top 6? Of course he could. He might be older, the overall might be down, but I guarantee him, when we looked at it this past offseason, that shooting category was still fairly ridiculous, and they are desperate to move him. So who knows, maybe in just a matter of moments, Alex Ovechkin's going to be a New Jersey Devil. As we make it to December with the record of 15-8-1 on the year. So that's plenty of time to be able to see how we're doing. We are the top team in the Metro. Jack Hughes over a point a game. Let's see, though, how the roster is doing as a whole. So Heischer, 6 goals, 19 assists. I mean, over a point a game, just barely, plus 23. Hughes, of course, we know is over a point a game with 26 points. And then Taylor Hall, 23 points in 24 games, 16 goals. So the top line's still doing well. It's not a horrific plus-minus, but Brad is still a minus. I mean, he's up to 22 points in 24 games. You have Boqvist, 18 points in 24 games. And Nikita Gusev, 25 points with 14 goals. So the second line, not bad. You still have to wonder whether or not Boqvist is the guy for that second line, at least this early. Cutler, oh my god. Okay, 7 points, but a -8. Oh boy. Okay, so that third line's a disaster. The fourth line's not that much better. But Persson and Cutler are absolutely struggling defensively, which is very concerning. Especially because Cutler should be good defensively. I guess some line is the one that has to get picked apart. But I'm not overly happy with Coleman, and I'm not overly happy with the third line in general. There aren't too many things we can do to really change things up here. Let's drop Cutler and Persson to the fourth line. Let's give Coleman and Gates the opportunity next to Palmieri. But that's, alright, the bottom 6 is a little bit concerning. Defensively, Smith is doing well, 3 points and a +8 next to Godfrey, who's at least back to even. You have Spurgeon and Dumba still doing pretty well. Butcher and Schultz are not. Schultz hasn't been abysmal. Will Butcher has been. At least he has points now. But defensively, it's concerning. And then goaltending-wise, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. Goaltending-wise, it's still not great. Obviously, Askarov has a higher ceiling than Blackwood. He's 1 overall point weaker. But goddamn, it's not as if when we had Blackwood that there weren't guys who were 80, 81 overall that had higher save percentages. We looked at that for a reason. Alright, so some defensemen are concerning and the goaltending still concerning. It's a tale as old as time. We'll sim a little bit further ahead now that the bottom 6 has been shaken up. We still have time to adjust and adapt overall. We're still winning games, so not exactly time to hit the panic button yet, but in terms of using Schultz and Seider, my God, leave me alone about Ovechkin. In terms of using Schultz and Seider to go out and get a better defenseman, that's looking like an option. And then we still don't know about Bratt. The issue is, it's not necessarily Bratt who's the biggest problem. It was the old third line that was just getting ripped to shreds with 2 of our top prospects being included on that line with Palmieri, which really hurts to see. But we are approaching 20 wins, and we hit that 20, 10, and 1 on the year. So we beat Toronto as well before losing to Dallas. The Binghamton Devils struggling a little bit more. Binghamton, it's Belleville. God damn it, I always confuse them. I think it's Binghamton Devils, Belleville Suns. I always confuse them still. Nico goes down to a concussion. He's not out for long, though, so Spears can replace him against Florida and potentially Boston as well. 3-2 win over the Panthers. Brendan Smith is on waivers. No, thank you. That's your fault, Toronto, for giving him a contract. He's not that bad. He just, it's okay. So 24-12-1. Let's wait until Nico's back. Take it from there. Patrick Spurgeon goes down to a broken nose. Nico? Cousin? Are you back? Am I misremembering that Nico Hischier, that there was a prompt about getting him back into the lineup? Was it the 1st or the 7th? I guess it was the 7th. Okay. That makes sense. Blake Spears. Jesus! Blake Spears, ladies and gentlemen. Doing incredibly well next to Hall and Hughes. I guess anybody really could. But doing incredibly well. We'll sim to the totally not the All-Star break. And then look at the team from there yet again. The good thing is we're winning games. So perhaps the changes that we made have worked out for us. Maybe the goaltending's decided to step up, although in saying that, we've allowed 10 goals over the past 2 games, make that 14 goals in 3 games, as Patrick Spurgeon is back from injury. Cider, Jesus Christ, you're done. You are so done. It is unbelievable how done Moritz Seider is. If you're an Oilers fan, you better hope, or Oilers fan, if you're a Detroit fan, you better hope he works out better than that. My God. Sorry, I couldn't help but associate the Oilers with a terrible draft pick. You know how it is. Let's see what we're dealing with. So we're in second. It's a 2-horse race right now between us and Carolina for the top spot in the Metro. Nico has 44 points in 42 games. Tremendous. Jack Hughes looking pretty damn good with 50 points in 48 games, but nothing too crazy. And then Taylor Hall, 53 points in 48 games. So that top line's doing well. It's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that they're not having a crazy season like they did when Nico put up 107 points, you know? Second line, Bratt. 41 points in 48 games is great, but still a minus player. Boqvist, 37 points in 48 games, pretty damn good, still a minus player. Gusev, 29 goals on the year. Third line, Coleman. 17 points, but a -8. You have Brent Gates doing all right, but not nearly as good as he was doing last year. And Palmieri's been pretty terrible. Tyler Cutler hasn't been great. Person hasn't been great. We have some problems here that we have to worry about and that we have to figure out a solution to before we make it to the postseason. So, tell you what, it's make or break time for Bratt. We are going to drop Hughes to the second line. Hischier will be at the top line center. That's the setup there. I don't know what to do with a lot of these guys. Cutler and Person, again, I guess somebody has to be on the ice when goals are being scored, but not really, because good teams can make it work. So, guess what? To some of the youth, you're going to get a chance, or some of the AHL options, because I can afford to send down Person and Cutler, and I'm going to because they're not getting it done. We're also going to send down Blake Spears for the moment. So who's doing the best out of this group is the question. Aiden Acton, okay, but not great. Evan Barrett, same thing. And I suppose the plus-minus is going to be concerned for the AHL team because they've done pretty poorly this year, so we're more going to have to focus on just the point totals. So, 22 there. Barrett's done well. Wong's done well. Badini, Afanasayev with 17 goals. Alright, so I think we're going with Barrett, Wong, and probably a Fanasayev here. And if we lose Spears to waivers, so be it. We did not. And then Coleman and Palmieri, I'm probably going to scratch for the moment and see what we're dealing with. So we need one other option. And I think this is going to be the time for Bedini to get a chance over Spears. So let's see what we're dealing with, man. We're going to see if certain players can succeed where others are not. And if they can, then we know it's a problem with the guys like Coleman, like Palmieri, that just aren't getting it done. So let's get Jack Bedini into the lineup. Let's take out Palmieri and get Evan Barrett into the lineup. So again, top line still making those changes. And then the third line, that's a tough choice. To be honest, I think the right talents are there already. Just because of the offensive awarenesses that are there. But I look at Trevor Wong's playmaking. I think I want to give him a chance. So we've seen what Gates is terrible. Just terrible. We've seen what Gates is capable of this year. I wouldn't say he's terrible. I'm likely to keep him there. We really need a shooter on that line, though, and that could be a Fanasayev. So who's the best center out of that bunch? Barrett has the best rating there. And between a Fanasayev and Bedini, it's going to be Bedini. Defensively, let's take a look here. Dumba, not great for what he's capable of. Godfrey's been fine. Butcher's still struggling. Schultz hasn't been great. Spurgeon hasn't been great. Sider hasn't been great. Smith has been pretty good. So Moritz Sider is definitely being traded right now. That's a sure thing. I mean, just in general, these guys here have been the ones that have been struggling. Damn it. Schultz is getting traded too. Because we need to free up a spot. We're going to probably give Martinic a chance, maybe Walsh. We're going to do similar to what we've done in the past. We're going to give younger guys an opportunity first, and if they don't work out, then we'll make trades. Because if they don't work out, then that's a sign of other moves that have to be made anyway. So it is time to make a deal or two. At the very least, Schultz and Sider are gone. Gave them a chance, they couldn't get it done. Will Butcher is potentially on the chopping block as well. So the question is, what do we want in return for these two? It could very well be another defenseman right here and now. It kind of depends on what's out there. Again, ideally, we'd be able to find a guy who's already on the block because a lot of our valuable prospects we already gave up. Whether or not they should have been that valuable or not, that's a whole nother discussion. But a lot of our valuable guys are gone, with the exception of Ekman, who I don't really want to trade. He looks pretty damn good. Yeah, we really don't have the guys to give up unless we wanted to give up on Cutler or Person, which I don't know if I want to do that either, but it is frustrating that they haven't done well thus far this season. So let's see who's out there. At the very least, there might be somebody like a Matt Grzelcyk who has 2 years left, which is kind of concerning, and he's not doing that well for Boston. Buffalo, middle stats and RFA, he's done for the year anyway. Backlund, do we have a winner? Oli Mata, 5 years left, no thank you. Columbus, nobody there. Dallas has Luke Hughes, but I don't even think he was ready. He's not. Nobody on Detroit. Sorry to Shattenkirk and Gardner, but not what I have in mind. Nurse, Clefbaum, and Gustafson. Nurse is on an expiring deal. Ugh. Now, is that the Edmonton effect? No disrespect to Edmonton, but, you know, he was good last year. Only played 55 games last year, though. He's played 50 this year and has the same amount of points, but the plus-minus is brutal. We could give Darnell Nurse a shot. Drew Doughty's still there with 4 years left. Good luck, Los Angeles. Good luck with that. Montreal. Ellis is there, but he's hurt. The Rangers, not really digging it. Bouillon, not really digging it. There's got to be somebody, right? Couture and Kane. Colton Parayko. 4 years left. That kind of hurts. I don't really like our chances here of getting someone that's going to help us. It's not looking too good. Unless we have to well overspend. Yeah, Nudivara's not going to help. Alright. Well, is there a team that can afford the two of them, that want both of them, where we can just get draft picks back for the most part? That's the first question. And I don't think that team is going to exist, more than likely. Again, Philly didn't really have anybody that we could look to use, nor did Toronto. It's going to have to be a team with 48 like Buffalo. Although, obviously, I'd prefer to trade them out west, if that is possible. So maybe we try to revitalize Darnell Nurse here. That might be the way to do it. Let me see what else they have here in terms of preferably defensemen on expiring deals. I'll at least take Matt Benning back. Sider and Schultz for Nurse and Benning. I'm going to safety net this really quickly. But maybe we turn Darnell Nurse into what he has shown he can be. Will that go through? No, it won't. We're going to have to sweeten it just a touch, which, to be honest, is fine by me. Will that go through? Apparently a fourth isn't just a touch. My God, EA's into some rough stuff for a touch isn't enough. No, you need a fucking full-blown haymaker. Oh, my sweet God. Yeah, God forbid you had to put James Neal on waivers, you frickin' nerds. What if I retain on Schultz? Because I can afford to do so, so why the hell not? Will that add enough value to the deal for you to just say, screw it, we want it? Oh my God. Edmonton, you're killing me here. It's James Neal. You absolute nerds. Just take the deal. Thank you. So we had to give up a little bit more than I'd prefer. We're going to see what Darnell Nurse can do. Schultz and Sider, you guys named the right two because they weren't getting it done. Darnell Nurse gets an opportunity to turn it around. And I got to be honest, I can still send down Spurgeon. That is exactly what I'm going to do. So we need one more option here. Xavier Bernard is that option. He's done well. And he did well when we played him last year, too. We lose Matt Benning to waivers, which is fine by me. He was just a tack on anyway. And 4, 5, 6. If I have, you know what? I'm not going to call up a healthy scratch option here. So forward-wise, we have 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14. So yeah, we're still good on that front. So let's see what we're dealing with. This team has a little bit of time to try and get it together before we make it to the trade deadline. So we're going to see what Bernard and Nurse are capable of. So it's kind of a fresh start for both. Again, Smith and Godfrey have worked out well, which is a bit surprising. I think we're going to have Nurse and Butcher together and Dumba with Bernard. And as far as who has the better shot, it's Butcher. So Darnell Nurse, welcome aboard. And welcome aboard to a lot of guys defensively. Now here's the thing. Goaltending still hasn't been great, which would explain a lot of those numbers, right? Right. But still, and again, I've said it a couple of times this episode, somebody's got to be a minus player. Someone's got to be the line that gets scored on, right? But I want to see better numbers here. I want to see better numbers. Right or wrong. in terms of goaltending, and especially amongst defensemen, amongst the bottom six, where it's like, oh, hey, cool, you're putting up points, but you're also getting scored on a ton. Is it really worth even keeping you? And I know a -8 really isn't indicative of, oh, they're getting scored on a ton, but it's enough, I would say, especially when you have a team that's in first place. That's kind of a bad sign that, oh, your team's in first place, or at least competing for first place in the division, and you're still sitting there somehow being a detriment to the team. It doesn't really equal out, as Will Butcher goes down to an injury, because of course he does. The second I don't have a defenseman to replace him, he gets hurt. And there is a chance he is going to be just traded by the time he comes back. Or as he comes back, because you can't trade injured players. So defensively, Martinick or Walsh. I don't really like that. You know what? Fuck it. Drew Hellison. We called up Drew Hellison before. He did relatively well. You can't tell me he's going to be that bad. He did okay. Because that's how this game works. I don't care about overalls. You see horrible players putting up great numbers all the time. I don't care about overalls. I care about results, damn it. And we'll give anybody and everybody a chance to get the job done. Although, in fairness, woof that third line. Oh, that third line has struggled thus far. We're going to give them a little bit more time, but otherwise they're out of here. And Jesper Bratt's doing a little bit better from a defensive standpoint, playing with the top line, which really isn't that much of a surprise, now is it? So, as Dubielewicz in Binghamton gets injured. Let's see what happens here. We are just a little bit over 2 weeks out from the deadline. And if we lose both of these games, we're going to stop this Taylor Hall with injured ribs. He'll be back on the 24th, the best day of the year. As we'll see here. So we're still very much in the running. Very much in the running for the division. That third line experiment has not worked. So Afanasayev, Badini, and Wong, you had a chance. You blew it. You blew it. So again, Badini, Afanasayev, and Wong, if you get claimed, I don't care. Badini's the only one at risk of getting claimed. Persson and Cutler have done a little bit better since they've gone down to the AHL, but they haven't been great. Acton's doing all right from a point total perspective. Pavanka's been okay as well. Let's go with Acton, Spears, and Pavanka. Those are the next three up, because we know that Blake Spears had done relatively well while playing with the top line, which doesn't say much, but it says a little bit, at least. We'll go best lines. Coleman, you're getting scratched for Evan Barrett. So the top line, it is going to be Gusev that gets bumped up. We'll have Boqvist, Hughes, and then from there, I'm not sure. Let's go with Spears. Let's go with Blake Spears. He had been okay the last time we gave him an opportunity. Palmieri will be in. I'm just not sure for who. Probably with Pavanka and Acton on that fourth line. And we'll give Barrett, Gates, and Zetterlund a little bit better of an opportunity here to shine. Defensively, we are still going to go with Smith. How do we want to do this here? Bernard's been great. I'm telling you, man. Like, just, hey, I don't care if you don't put up points. Just stable defense, please. That's all I ask for. Do we want to go with Nurse and Dumba together? I think we do. Let's stick with that. And then goaltending-wise, Jesus, at least Bednar's numbers are going up. But it's looking pretty rough from a goaltending perspective, isn't it? It hasn't been great. Again, we have about 2 weeks before deadline day. We're still winning games. despite the bad goaltending. But it's just, what the hell are we going to do with so many of our underperforming players? As Dubielewicz is healthy for Binghamton. We only have 6 games left before deadline day. Which, again, I'm going right to deadline day, even if it means some of our potential options get traded for already. That's fine by me. I don't really care. Florida. Can we beat the Panthers, please? This is taking forever. 3 straight losses. Buffalo. We finally get a win. That's nice. Taylor Hall is back. And that is... how's Palmieri doing? Jesus Christ. Okay, so Kyle Palmieri's just done. He's just decided, nope, I'm done. Sorry. I will no longer be of use to you. And in fairness, I'm not sure how Coleman's doing either. We might give him a chance to turn it around, but Palmieri has just decided, nope, I will not be of use to you anymore. Pavanka hasn't done much. Acton hasn't done much either with his opportunity thus far. So, is there anybody else? Is there anybody else to give an opportunity to here, aside from Pavanka and Acton? We gave Wong, Badini, Afanasayev. So let's see, Altai Barmakian hasn't been great. Dalvit hasn't been great. Pinto has at least put up points. Dubielewicz has been okay. I guess those are the final 2. Pinto and Dubielewicz. Screw it. We might lose Pavanka to waivers. We did not. I guess we're going to see how these guys can do. Take it from there. So we'll go best lines. We know Palmieri's out. He's basically done. Let's give... actually, how has Spears done since he started playing? Okay, so Spears, without playing on that top line, it's dropped a bit. So we know Palmieri's out. We're going to give Coleman the next few games. He needs to be better than what he has been, or he's done. We'll give him the chance to flip things around here, but it is his final opportunity. Bratt's done well on that top line, man. He's done well. Hughes and Gusev still looking like they're working well together. And then Boqvist, 50 points and a -5 is at least acceptable. So let's see here. Gates has done okay. Barrett and Zetterlund have both been okay. So we're going to go with... what are we going to go with? Let's go with that. And then the 4th line, Pinto at center works. So this is the last chance for Coleman to prove his worth. Will Butcher is back. Hellison hasn't done well. How's Bernard been doing? Bernard's been a defensive stalwart is what he has been. So we're going to go with Smith there. Oh, God. Let's go Nurse, Dumba, Butcher, Bernard. And we're going to see how that works. Will Butcher's playing for his job. Darnell Nurse is playing for his job. Blake Coleman's playing for his job. I don't know if Askarov is playing for his job, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. And there isn't too much time here. There's only 2 games left before deadline day. As Spurgeon gets hurt down in Binghamton in what is ultimately a win, I hope. It's an overtime loss. 5-4 overtime loss. 1 more game before the deadline. It's against Tampa. And we'll see what happens here and then take a look at some numbers. And it's a 6-3 loss to the Lightning. So we are currently in second, I'd imagine. Yes, we are still in second, just 4 points back of the Hurricanes, although they have a game at hand. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So Dubielewicz and Pinto, not brutal, but not an immediate impact. Coleman did nothing. Same goal, same assist, same plus-minus. Barrett, 6 points and a +4 in 15 games. Brent Gates has 18 points in 63 games, which is a little bit disappointing. He had 29 points last year. Boqvist, down to a -9. So the plus minus to that second line took a pretty big hit. So Boqvist is similar to McLeod, where in terms of point totals, he can hang with the top six, but defensively, it's just a little bit questionable. So you might think maybe, I mean, he's good enough to be the second line wing, for sure, but maybe he'd be better suited in a third line role. The issue is right now is that a lot of our other guys just aren't getting it done. Nurse really hasn't turned it around since he's been here. Dumba hasn't been great, and Butcher hasn't been great this year. And obviously the goaltending is still a factor as to why they haven't been great. But let's take a look here. Let's take a look around the league. I want to see what teams are low in the standings. I want to take a look at their goaltending and then their defense. So Columbus is dreadful. Columbus, San Jose. Let's take a look at those two. Let's take a look. But the Blue Jackets are absolutely horrific. Let's take a look here. So goaltending-wise, yeah, Braden Holtby's terrible. Defensively, I mean, it explains why Jones and Harris are as bad as they are. But, you know, Zach Werenski, doing quite well. So the fact that he is technically better than Butcher in a worse situation, despite a similar overall, yeah, that's concerning. That is. I mean, obviously someone like Seth Jones is being dragged down, but there is somebody there who kind of proves, like, yeah, there can be bad goaltending, but you can still not be completely useless. And then Nashville, their goaltending is also awful. And case in point, Roman Josi. Matt Dumba should be capable of that. He hasn't been. Dante Fabro is the same overall, and granted he's a created player, but still, he's done better than Butcher. So there are examples of players on worse teams in worse situations who are doing better than the players on our team. And that is why it's frustrating. So I'm going to stick to my guns on this one at least. And in terms of trading, I'm not sure exactly what the hell I'm going to do here. Goaltending-wise, let's take a look around the league here. I can't help but think, like, Coleman and Palmieri have to go. Who are we going to replace them with? I don't know. I genuinely don't. Because we've gone through a lot of our organizational depth and still had players struggle, which, of course, could be an indication of, hey, just the goaltending's dragging everybody down, which is true. But let's take a look here at goaltending around, oh my god, goaltending around the league here, right? Let's see what we got. So save percentages amongst starters. So Binnington, similar overall, 927. Ellington, 926 as an 80. Bassey's doing well. Carter Hart's doing well. Blackwood has 8 games and has been phenomenal for the Kings this year. John Gibson up there. So, I mean, case in point, guys of similar overall, if not worse, are doing a hell of a lot better than anybody we play between the pipes. Well, what's the answer for that? Is this team cursed? Is my question. What's it going to take for us to be able to turn this around? We're still doing well, but the warning signs are there that, man, if we get to the playoffs, we're going to crash and burn again. So I'm cool with keeping Dumba. It hasn't been brutal, but he hasn't been great. Godfrey's been fine. Darnell Nurse, it just hasn't worked out. Will Butcher, again, it hasn't been horrific, but it's not great either. 15 points and a -8. It's not ideal. So, I mean, yeah, we can hold on to him, but yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about how he's doing. And in Spurgeon, when he played, he wasn't great at all. Ty Smith has turned it around, playing next to Godfrey. Martinick hasn't been great down in the AHL this year. -16, unfortunately. But Bernard has been solid. He's been solid. He's not a point getter, but he's shutting people down. So, I mean, when you look at this team, Godfrey, Smith, and Bernard are the main 3 that I think I can have confidence in. Dumba, my confidence is a little bit shaky, and then Nurse and Butcher I have no faith in at all right now. And it's just, okay, who the hell is going to replace him? You know? We already got rid of Schultz and Seider, as you guys requested. And then forward-wise, Hall and Gusev are fine. Palmieri has been awful. Awful. Just awful. So, yeah, he's done. He has to be. Persson and Cutler, when given the opportunities, weren't great, unfortunately. I mean, they weren't horrible either, though. Well, yeah, I mean, a -9 and 16 points. He at least has 8 points in 15 games down in the AHL. And then same for Cutler, 6 points. He hasn't been great down in the AHL either. Zetterlund's been okay on the fourth line. He's at least stable. Spears did well on the top line. He could be given a little bit more of an opportunity. Altar Bramaki, and we never really gave him a chance, but he didn't really earn it based off of AHL play. So the left wings, I mean, Bratt's stabilized, being on that top line. I'm not really too worried about him. I am worried about Blake Coleman at this point. Plus, he's 32. Expiring deal. And then centers, I mean, again, Boqvist, just whether or not he's good enough for the top 6 right now is the question. But a lot of these guys we've called up and they just haven't gotten it done. So, with our top 6, we're going to be good enough as it is. We just need to figure out who the hell is going to be in the bottom 6 and how many drastic changes we want to make on defense. But, I mean, I think Palmieri's got to go. I think Coleman has to go. Probably Darnell Nurse's time is up already. Butcher's time could be done. I mean, we can look at options that are out there because of, in terms of, like, top options. We don't necessarily have to go for someone who's on the block at this point because we're going to be, wheeling and dealing quite a few assets. But when you just look at players who are out here in general, I mean, there are some bottom 6 options that we could go for. Troy Terry could be a hell of an addition to that third line. Henrique's done well. I mean, shit, we could snag Terry and Henrique from the Ducks. We could afford that. That'd be a decent little pickup there. In terms of the deals here, I mean, Kessel's on an expiring deal. He hasn't been great, though. Christian Fischer for another third line pickup next to Terry and Henrique. That could very well work out for us. And again, cheap options as well. Freddie Olofsson, that's got to be AHL numbers, right? Yeah, it is. It's not surprising. Boston shopping Pasternak, McAvoy. My God. So yeah, we have options. We have options. I mean, Carson Kuhlman for the fourth line could be tremendous. Charlie Coyle for the third line could also be pretty good. They're barely playing Bergeron at this point. He's down in the AHL. Actually, I think he's a healthy scratch. I think Gilbert's got to be in the AHL too. Yeah, Gilbert, Carpenter, Senyshyn. They're all in the AHL. So the Bruins are shopping, and we could do some serious damage there. Hell, if we don't trust that Boqvist is the guy, if we don't trust that Dumba's the guy, I mean, Pasternak and McAvoy, I'm not saying we could get both, but we could probably technically get both, which is insanity. Buffalo doesn't really have anybody that would help us. Calgary doesn't really have anybody that would help us, I don't think. Same for Carolina. Did I look at Colorado? I didn't. Colorado? Nobody. Columbus. DeLeo. Awful, awful, awful. So nobody really to help us out there. Dallas with nobody, but just those first few teams in the row. Detroit, shopping a lot of people. Athanasiou, Mantha, Bertuzzi all have time left. Jake Gardner could be a decent little pickup there. Is there anybody else who's done well? Chase Pearson for the fourth line. If he hasn't been in the AHL, he has been. Damn. Edmonton, shopping Strome. No, thank you. Florida, shopping Connolly and Malgin. Nah, not great options. Los Angeles, of course, Doughty doing well, but he still has way too much time on that contract. Minnesota. No great options there, unfortunately. Montreal. No great options there in terms of performance thus far. Let's take a look at Nashville. Nashville. I mean, Roman Josi available again 5 years left, though, at 33 years old is pretty rough. It's like you'd rather just probably go for Charlie McAvoy from Boston if that's the case. Philly, I mean, just Kovacs, but it's pretty rough. And Pittsburgh looking to shop pretty much everybody. Warren Fogle as a fourth-line pickup could be decent. My God, they are getting rid of everybody. I guess we'll only look at those who have done well in the NHL, though. Do we have anybody else who's played a decent amount of games? Pontus Aberg for the fourth line could work. Jeff Petrie, he's 36. 3 years left at 2.9, but hell, he could be a decent defensive option for us. Sven Berchke for a top 6 role. He's still cheap at 31 years old. Philip Hollander turned into a monster. 6 years at 5.5, but you want to talk about a top 6 option, there you go. I can't believe they're shopping him. San Jose, Couture's struggled a bit. You got some guys who have continued to struggle. I'm not really too impressed by anybody there. St. Louis. Anze Kopitar. We could bring him back for the third line. Ekholm's been solid. Parayko's been solid. Perron as well. There are quite a few options in here. Let me go look at contracts again. Ekholm on 3 years, Parayko on 4, but Kopitar and Perron on expiring deals. Tampa only really getting rid of Fournier, but he's in the CHL. Toronto not really getting rid of anybody that I'd want. Same with Vancouver. Vegas. Vegas is shopping. Sakura, no. Colin Wilson as a fourth line option. Not bad for a veteran pickup. Anybody else who really wins me over? Not really. Marchessault's not bad. Washington might have finally moved on from Ovechkin. But Matt Nieto, bottom 6 role, could work. Craig Smith in a bottom 6 role could work. There are definitely options out there in which we can wheel and deal, get rid of the guys on both, the forward and defensive core, go out and get their replacements. And then if we still struggle, then hey, we know what it ultimately comes down to. It comes down to goaltending, and that's probably the answer anyway. But if we can do everything else aside from try to fix the goaltending and the problems are still there, then yeah, I mean, screw it. Move Askarov for an established veteran. That might very well be the answer. But in terms of reworking the bottom 6, again, if Coleman's gone, if Palmieri's gone, Gates has been serviceable, Barrett's been serviceable. So we're really looking for 3 guys, I'd say, to replace Coleman, Pinto, and Dubielewicz. We're really looking for 3 options, and like I said, if we wanted to get one of those big-time top 6 options, Boqvist could go down to the third line, probably with Gates and Barrett, or whoever we pick up, and that could be great. I mean, imagine Gates, Barrett, Zetterlund as the fourth line, Boqvist with whoever on the third line. Again, there are a lot of options, and defensively, it's Nurse and Butcher, but if we had a little bit of shaky confidence in Dumba, Charlie McAvoy's there. But, I mean, if you pair Nurse, Butcher, and a couple other pieces together, that might be enough to get Charlie McAvoy, in which case you have a top 6 potentially of Smith, Godfrey, McAvoy, Dumba, Bernard, and whoever. A lot of options here, and I want to hear from you guys, obviously, about what way you think we should go. I don't think we're going to make a move with a goaltender for now. We're going to stick with Askarov. He's still young enough that this might turn around. Maybe we're being a bit too harsh on some guys who are only slight detriments to the team rather than majors. They're not like Adam Larson was, as you would have seen the stats a few minutes ago. But we're still in a good spot, and we're still kind of in our window here where, hey, this is Taylor Hall's towards the end of his prime before he starts regressing. We want to win with Taylor Hall, which has been something that's easier said than done this year, as I've discovered. Oh, God.